what's going on, everyone? You're here for NFTalk Tuesday. This is our first kind of live pre-recorded podcast episode, number one. And we're here with @DadCypher on Twitter, coming all the way from the Ethereum Towers. So just give us an intro, man. What's your name? What do you do? All that good stuff.
Absolutely. So my real name is actually Shane. That's what my mom calls me anyways. My wife calls me, my kids call me Dad, but hence the Dad Cipher. So my job, my normal day job is I work in software sales. I've been doing that for 11 plus years, and got into a project called Ethereum Towers. Day one, found out a little bit about this whole free to mint digital real estate that started off as sort of like a loot style project, and we can discuss that afterwards, but that quickly evolved into so much more. So I'm still working my normal job, and I'm very thankful for having a job that allows me to sit at a computer all day long.
Right? Because isn't it like not stressful? Or has it been more stressful?
We'll discuss like NFTs in general, but NFTs are a job that quite literally is 24/7. It is a full-time plus some job, and in order to stay on top of all the different things that are happening, you're quite literally staring at Twitter or Discords for hours upon end.
Oh yeah, I've been telling a lot of people, like, they don't understand. Whenever I go from my 8 to 4, 9 to 5 job, and then I come home, I'm working from 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. because NFT Twitter, they wake up at midnight for some reason, and everything's going off between midnight and 4 a.m. It's like, I can't even catch up. I can't get sleep. Like, what?
No, and like NFTs are worldwide, like to say the least. Like we need to accommodate people in Australia, the Oceanic region, UK, NA, everywhere. So Ethereum Towers has mods in each individual area, but still, you want to make sure that you're paying attention to what's going on in sort of the NFT space. So,
yeah, of course, it's incredible how much I've learned about time zones in the past 2 months of being in the NFT space. It's incredible. I'm like, I didn't even know that was a time zone. And then people are like, hey, we're going live at 7 p.m. I'm like, it's 7 p.m. They're like, oh, that was 2 hours ago. You're in Central Time. It's like, okay, never mind. I give up.
My normal job is software sales, and I quite literally deal with time zones all the time, but it's just NA. Now I have to start getting used to UK time zones. I need to start getting used to Australian time zones. And this brain of mine doesn't work at that capacity yet. I'm still I'm still getting used to the NA time zone. So
yeah, it's a ton to take in, and I think that's why it's so important that I have you here and kind of doing these NFTalk Tuesdays. And if you don't know, on Twitter, every Tuesday at 7 o'clock, I do what's called NFTalk Tuesdays, and we get together and we just chat. I believe that kind of not only in this space, but I know there was another platform. It was called Clubhouse. Did you ever dabble with Clubhouse at all?
Did that get renamed? Actually, no. I think I have Clubhouse downloaded. I think one of our members is pretty big on there.
One of the biggest issues I have with Clubhouse, and also the Twitter Spaces, is kind of doing this now too, which is kind of like a little semi-toxic. But I hate how you go into a Clubhouse room to try to get information or chat, and it's just influencers talking to influencers and inviting influencers to speak. And I'm kind of trying to get away from that. And so anybody that comes into my NFTalk Tuesdays, they're all inclusive. So anybody can talk, ask questions. I'm not just going to invite influencers up to speak. I think I see that happening a lot, and a lot of people get left out, and then they leave the space because they have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm doing this, is for that education portion, so people like mom, dad, and grandma can have information on this stuff. Because I think the more information you have out there and the more people understand, the faster the space is going to grow, and people are going to understand it as well, because you can't really evolve or innovate without understanding. That's how I think, at least. So
it'll definitely become much more of a big adoption over the next, I would say, like 5 to 10 years, because NFTs will quite literally help I guess, sort of the general populace in a lot more ways than people actually think. Everything from like education to healthcare systems to all the way down to like a general gym membership, maybe an NFT in the future, and people just don't realize it yet.
Yeah, absolutely. So you say like healthcare and things like that. So where do you see what is so there's one word that I think the NFT space uses a lot, and that's utility. So what do you think the real utility is for people that don't understand it? So how can you describe to them how it can help them in their everyday lives so that way they find it as useful?
Yeah, so for all those that don't know what NFT even stands for, so it's non-fungible token. So it's essentially like a way to verify ownership. Once a token is minted on sort of the Ethereum blockchain or whatever sort of blockchain, because there's a number of different blockchains right now that are currently doing this, but it just can't be messed with. It is going to live and breathe on that network forever. You can't mess with it. You can transfer ownership of that particular token, but you cannot make any sort of adjustments to it without sort of the permissions. Now, a lot of people right now think of NFTs as just a JPEG. It's a picture of an
click
ape
save.
or and the right click save argument is very, very funny, and I always have the same conversation with people surrounding the right click save, and that is, listen, I can walk into the Louvre tomorrow. I can go take a high resolution picture of the Mona Lisa, and then walk out of there and say, hey, look at this, I own the Mona Lisa. And they'll say, no, you don't. And I'll say, yes, I do. And they'll say, no, it belongs to the Louvre. And I'll say, well, how do you know that it belongs to the Louvre? Well, it's just general knowledge. Well, think of that the same way as NFTs. It just proves that you actually own this particular piece. I'm not saying that you can't still right click and save and say, this is my own. I can just pull up my phone and say, hey, look at this. I actually, right here is the date, the time when this particular item started to belong to me. Now, where I see NFTs becoming more and more like use cases will be gaming. So imagine like skins for CSGO, guns, etc. For the healthcare industry, having sort of like a general ledger where they can actually store all the healthcare information and it'll be accessible around the world. So if, let's say, I get sick, I don't know.
It's like medical history, things like that.
Exactly. Okay. It'll be accessible to, anybody with that, has access to it. You can bring up your wallet and say, here's all my medical history that's ever happened to me. Educational purposes, obviously, you'll be able to purchase textbooks, etc., using sort of that token, and transfer ownership potentially, textbooks, etc. Like it's crazy, the potential utility. So what I mean by utility is real world uses of it. Right now, a lot of the NFT space and the idea of utility kind of surrounds, what are we getting extra from this? And oftentimes that's, I purchase this NFT and then I get, sort of like a separate token that I can earn ETH off of, or, I can purchase other things with this particular token. But there's much more utility in the future that will kind of like drive NFTs, I think. Does that make sense? I feel like I rambled a little bit.
No, it's perfect. The more information you can give us, the better it is, because it gives people a lot to kind of chew on and digest. And I really think that, especially right now in NFT Twitter or even in the Discords, whenever they talk about utility, they talk about some very, I think base level utility, base level uses that's only associated with that project. I think with utility, I think it needs to go a whole step further in kind of the innovation and evolution of technology and Web 3.0. And I think that is the real world use cases, like the tickets, buying concert tickets, or if you buy a Rolex, you have that NFT that ties it to the Rolex that says you actually own this, right? No more fake certificates of authenticity or anything like that. Now you have a true means to kind of track all that stuff. And I think it's incredible that people are just worried about, the in-game operation, or, making a little more ETH or money or anything like that. I think it goes beyond that. And like you said, people think of it as JPEGs, but it's also JPEGs with a lot of use in the future as we evolve, as things innovate. And I find that these projects are just pumping out more things because everything's kind of copy pasta right now, right? So
Yeah.
everyone's
Everybody's
doing
using
the
an eighth and then like changing the color, or
yeah, yeah.
it's one of those things where yeah, most definitely people think that there's a tried and true method to creating an NFT or a successful project, but you'll see over the upcoming 2-3 years how the space actually changes, because I think it'll be quite dramatical, and I think it'll be for the betterment of society.
Oh, absolutely. So speaking on that kind of Web 3.0 point, so I know I've asked probably 15 people now what their version of Web 3.0 is. What is Web 3? What's your definition? Because I feel like everyone has their own opinions, or they have different information, they understand it differently. So in your best words, how can you describe what Web 3 is? Because I think Web 2 was the introduction of social media and connecting, right? Interconnectivity.
Yeah.
So what is Web 3? What is it exactly?
Web 3 will, and have, I don't know if your audience has been introduced to like ENS yet, or like different
No.
domains. Okay. So yeah, that'll be like the number one thing that I always tell people to research is research ENS and different like domain names, where essentially this will become your identity moving forward. It won't be 17 digits or anything along those lines, but your wallet will become sort of your access point to everything. So yeah, it's definitely a long, convoluted conversation to get into, especially when you're just beginning NFT talk.
But in in the simplest terms, how can I, let's say, I don't know, using NFTs like the concert tickets and stuff like that, is that kind of, summarizes it, like real world utility based around some kind of, almost like, how you have the like the watches for medical, like diabetes, or these medical diseases and stuff. Would it be almost the same thing?
Very
where you
similar
can
to
track
that.
this kind of stuff.
Yeah, very similar to that, where essentially your identity is tied back to potentially your wallet. You'll store all that sort of information within there.
It's so instead of the cloud, we're doing blockchains.
Yeah, most definitely.
We're not storing.
And the great thing to it is that nobody can manipulate that information, and there'll be tons of advice that I will give to people, like if you do have a crypto wallet or a MetaMask wallet or a Coinbase wallet, never give out seed phrases, never actually write them down, like quite literally write it down on a piece of paper, store it in a safe, because that will become your identity. So
yeah, that's some pretty crucial stuff right there. And I feel like that's like the Bible when it comes to the NFTs is don't give out your seed phrase. Please don't do that. Yeah. They give you a bunch of words, never say them.
Yeah, and believe me, Coinbase will not email you randomly and ask for your seed phrases. You won't get a random DM on Discord asking you for your seed phrases or your seed phrases. So please take extreme caution when it comes to links. Quite literally, just use your wallet address's main web address. Don't click off of anything off of emails. None of that. This is sort of your life that you're potentially playing around with. So avoid doing that at all costs.
So do you think if it becomes kind of your barcode, is that kind of what we're looking at? Is it like that kind of dystopia? It's kind of like weird. Nobody really understands it. Like, is it going to be like our social security at that point? Like, is it going to be that?
I don't know crazy if it'll ever get to that point where it becomes sort of like your
actual identity.
Yeah, your actual identity. It won't actually become sort of your social security, but it will become definitely ingrained in your everyday life.
But do you think the future, though, like let's say 30
like
years down the road.
30,
Like,
40, 50 years down the line, there's a distinct possibility.
yeah, that's a weird possibility, right?
Yeah, who knows? Like,
Yeah.
look how far the web's come in the past, 20
Yeah.
years. I remember the days of dial-up. I'm
Oh
that
yeah.
old.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
Mom, get off the phone.
AOL
I'm trying to download a song off of Napster. That's taken
or
me already.
LimeWire, things like
Oh,
that. Like,
LimeWire. I can't remember.
geez.
I don't even want to talk about how many laptops during my university days I ruined that way.
And speaking of, I think with MySpace, we were all coding before anyone knew what coding was.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
remember all the backgrounds and putting songs in, and it was just incredible that we were doing this at such a
Back
young age.
Absolutely. Well, I wasn't super young at that
Okay,
point.
yeah, well, I was pretty young, like it was, yeah, it was pretty incredible because I look back and I'm like, man, I cannot believe that we were all coding and we didn't even know it. We had no idea. So
Yeah.
interesting twist, right?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, so
Crazy times.
absolutely. So I hope it doesn't get there to the point where it is our identity or anything like that. It'd be very interesting. So what are some main things that you would need? Say I'm Joe Blow and I'm ready to start diving into the NFT universe, right? I
Yeah.
want to know what it's about. I want to get more information, but I need certain things to do that, right? So in order to buy my first NFT, I'm going to need X, Y, and Z. So what are some main things or your recommendation for people wanting to get into the space?
No, so the very first thing that I tell people before they even start looking at getting into the NFT space is understanding sort of what you are potentially looking for. Let's start off with the basics. So in all honesty, in order to get into the NFT space right now, you need to be a real go-getter, because it isn't something that like you can just like sign up, quickly and immediately hop in, go buy your very first NFT.
Sort of a process these days.
Yeah, like you need to have obviously a wallet that you're able to exchange money for ETH, or if you're going to use like Solana or Cardano, any of those potential things. Then you need to have like a MetaMask wallet, unless you're using Coinbase, but it's all country specific as well. So you got to do your due diligence and figure out exactly which one that you want to potentially sign up for. And then from there, you need to know what OpenSea is, which is sort of the right now the go-to NFT purchasing. Yeah. Believe me, fingers crossed that Coinbase puts out something that's amazing.
Well, I hope so. They're one of the biggest platforms out there besides crypto.com for crypto trading. So yeah, I would hope they had enough funding to make this super unique, very special, easy to use, kind of super tethered,
Yeah, and in case people are like kind of curious, so right now I think the last time I checked, OpenSea had like 300,000 active wallets using OpenSea. It might be up to like 600 by now. I'm not too sure. My days are pretty much nose deep in Discord. Not really doing a whole bunch else besides like kids and wife and making sure, but once Coinbase comes around, it potentially opens the door to 72 million active users. That's how many active users there are on Coinbase.
Incredible.
Right now on OpenSea, like I said, it's like between 300 to 600,000 active users.
That's nothing compared.
That's nothing. That is quite literally nothing. So if you are able to jump in early into the NFT game, you're potentially setting yourself up for sort of that beginning boom. You're definitely setting yourself up for that beginning boom, because once sort of the general populace understands what NFTs are, and if you have sort of the right portfolio, it kind of reminds me a little bit of that early Bitcoin days, the early 2000. I unfortunately was too dumb. I was too dumb to do it back in 2013, but I was able to get on in 2017 and start getting into sort of the crypto trading world. And
you want to know something really funny, just like a small bit of hilarious information. I tracked my transactions on my Coinbase account.
Yeah.
And I bought my first $300 worth of Ethereum back when it first opened up. I think it said like it wasn't very new, but I think the price of it was $36 or something like that for each
Yeah.
Ethereum token, about $300 worth. And yeah, I sold it all before my 21st birthday. And probably 3 weeks later is when it boomed to like $300. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So yeah, there's my sad sob story about all that. So
I've been telling people for years, if you could just shadow my ability to pick winners, you would be a billionaire. I'm positive of it. Like,
well, that's good to know, considering you're part of the Ethereum Towers. So
yeah. Yeah, all you have to do is
foreshadowing you
whatever
now.
sort of the crypto stuff. I made all the wrong moves.
It's incredible.
On all the wrong coins. Like I went heavy into IOTA when it like kind of peaked out.
Oh wow.
And it did not take off. And at that point, I traded pretty much all of my ETH at that point.
Oh no.
For that. And yeah, I was practically the same thing as you, where I got into ETH when I think it was probably right around like 250 ish dollars, but I think I sunk like $3,000, $4,000 into it at that point. And
so it worked out. Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm just so disappointed. I bought it when it was $36.
Yeah.
Right now, what's the price of Ethereum? 4,000. 4,200. Yeah. So I bought in when it was $36. So that's very upsetting at the end of the day, knowing what I held, but I had no idea. So that's a huge bummer. 4,400. Yeah. It keeps running. It keeps running up slowly but surely.
Yeah, it's one of those things that dips, goes back up a little bit higher, dips, goes back up. You get used to it in crypto. You sit through a few of the massive,
it's kind of the waves of crypto, I feel like.
Yeah, just mass exodus, and you're just like, whatever. It'll be back up there in like 2 months. I'm not overly concerned.
Yeah, Bitcoin, I think, fell 2 days ago, 5%. And then today I got a notification, oh, it's up 5%. It's like, okay, we're back to square one here. So, but anyways, that's
back to the original NFT question. What else should you be doing? So like I mentioned, right now, to get into the NFT space, you got to be like a real go-getter. From there, establish like specific principles for yourself. Like, what are projects that, because some people, I myself, I will buy art because I love the art. I don't care if it has zero utility. Amen. I love art. So I'm okay if it booms all the way up. I'm okay if it goes crashing down. Don't care. I'm sitting on that art because I love it. And that's fine. And I have a piece of art hanging up.
Free the starving artist, man. Free the starving artist.
And it is what it is. Like, you just learn to live with it. And then I pick, specific projects that I think have unbelievable roadmaps, unbelievable potential future utility. And I'll go a little bit heavy into them, but I'll cash out part of my investment once I've officially made my money back. Because at that point, I'm not losing anything. I'm happy. I'll buy like 3 or 4 NFTs of them. Essentially try to, if it hits 3x, then I'm happy. I can sell off and still have a couple sitting in my wallet. And then you can always just take moonshots as well.
No, absolutely.
You can find sort of like the ones that mint for, 0.01, 0.025, or, even for like Ethereum Towers at the very beginning, we were free to mint.
Incredible.
So you can find those projects. And at that point, like, you're just paying for gas. And granted, gas is not cheap, which you will come to realize, which will be a completely different discussion.
That is a whole nother discussion. I'm just going to summarize that. Gas is the fees associated with any transaction. So right now, the fee for a transaction is somewhere between, I would say, like $100 to $400. Right?
Yeah, if you're lucky, it's like 71. So,
I got very lucky, and guess what? I minted, or not minted, but I bought my reserved Ethereum tower, and my gas fee was $60. I'm super happy. This was like 2 weeks ago, so I'm like really pumped about that. So
that's awesome.
That's a win. because
Gets you
usually,
joined.
the fees are like $250. So I'm buying something for, $1,000, but you have to make sure you have 1,500 because
Mhm.
all those fees, they add up. So it's just interesting to see that.
Most
But
definitely.
you said free to mint. Ethereum
Yeah.
Towers was free to mint at first. I
Yeah,
had no
it's
idea.
still it still is technically free to mint. So
Really?
for our very first tower, the way that we have it sort of divvied up is all standard apartments within Ethereum Towers will be free to mint. So essentially, they don't cost anything to purchase. You just pay for gas.
Hmm.
Now, Tower 2 is going to be completely different. Everybody needs to understand sort of like the premise behind Ethereum Towers. And that was originally the idea was it was going to be a loot style project. And a loot style project means you just imagine whatever you want. It's whatever your imagination can take you. And then slowly but surely things started to evolve. So next thing you know, like an architect joined and was like, hey, would you guys be interested in me, putting together some renderings? And they started to do it, and then real life caught up to them. And that happens to everyone in sort of the NFT space. And
Yeah.
we actually then hired a professional architect to come up with,
Wow.
rendering drawings. And somebody else joined that said, hey, I have some experience in like Sandbox and Decentraland. I own a couple little plots in there. Would you guys be interested in like potentially, getting into the metaverse? And we're like, yeah, that sounds amazing. So then the idea of potentially building the towers in the metaverse started to happen. And then we came to the stark realization that both of those metaverses can't there's certain height restrictions and poly count restrictions that
Hmm.
just don't allow us to build Ethereum towers in those metaverses. And,
Yeah.
and that's perfectly reasonable. So then we started to reach out to different gaming studios.
Wow.
And we're going to actually be building our very own metaverse.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're heading towards. So that way we can control the poly count, the height restrictions. We can control the economy, the token, that all like lives
Wow.
and breathes within sort of that environment. And yeah, things are very exciting. We're probably going to make a decision on who the game developer is early this upcoming week. We just want to sit down with one other group because
These
yeah,
kind of game are these names that we may know?
well, these are all studios that have worked with like the one has worked with EA, Riot,
Wow.
Epic Games, 2K.
Yeah, those are some big
Um,
names.
yeah, so
Huge
they
studio.
they do a lot of like the environmental like work for these studios, and they do a lot of like gun stuff for them. Like they do a lot of like 3D like
Okay,
rendering
kind
of
of the
guns and
animations
stuff.
and things like that.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Wow.
I've had some calls with people that blew my mind.
Oh, I bet.
I unfortunately like I can't actually talk about like who I've sat down with just because of
Yeah, of
NDAs.
course. Can't do that.
The last thing I
Those are
need
some
is
gold
the
nuggets we're not getting
studios.
today.
Yeah, but to say the least, like the past, I would say 9 weeks has been like an absolute whirlwind of
Oh, I bet.
meetings and sitting down with people in the NFT space that I only dreamed of meeting, 2.5, 3 months ago by now.
Wow,
It's
incredible.
been crazy.
And you've been in the NFT space how long?
3 months. And
Three months.
you will make mistakes. I promise you, you will make mistakes. Take it firsthand. I bought projects that I shouldn't have. I,
That's why I'm scared to
got
mint
a
right
little,
now. I'm like, there's a lot of projects out there that I'm not. There's a lot.
yeah,
It's too much.
there is too much.
A lot
And
of
we're going to
FUD.
see like we're going to see like probably a huge dip over the next probably 6 months because a lot of people are starting to take it a lot more serious.
Mhm. As
One
they
thing
should.
that like people need to understand is hype around projects can only take it so far. You can't maintain a certain level of hype forever.
Mhm.
So look at sort of like
I
the core
agree with this.
community. Look at the core community, see who's a part of that community, see how active they are. Take a peek at what sort of the roadmap of the project is. Do they have realistic goals that can be achieved within a certain amount of time. You know, are the founders and owners actually active in sort of the Discord,
Yeah.
on Twitter? Are they, you know, talking to people, explaining what's going on? Another thing too that I like to mention to people is, like, if you pop into our Discord, you know, we're extremely blunt. Only invest what you're willing to lose, because who knows what happens with the NFT space, you know, 6 months from now, a year from now, you know. Please don't overextend yourself. Like, don't put rent money on this, you know. The last thing that we want is, you know, let's say the NFT market goes crashing down, and then you're looking at us being like, hey, you know, I can't pay my mortgage. I'm like, oh, like that's
yeah, huge piece of advice. I think everyone is going to tell you this is never spend more money than you're willing to lose, because it can and will happen. Rug pulls, hype trains, like you said. I'm seeing a lot of those right now. A lot of people writing kind of like the apes, for example. There's like 9 derivatives of them now.
Yep.
And I can't keep up with it anymore. I'm just like, I'm done with the apes. Let's just take the Bored Ape, Mutant Ape. That's all there is for me at this time.
Kennel Club too. Kennel Club.
Kennel Club. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's a real.
Those 3 are actually associated, direct association with Bored Ape.
Correct.
But yeah, it's like, don't look at Twitter numbers. Don't look at Discord numbers. Take it from a person that has been quite literally hanging out in Discords. So my main jobs are within Ethereum Towers, just to help attract and bring in potential new collaborations. So I have sat in Discords that have quite literally 100,000 people, that there'll be one message every 10 minutes, and it speaks volumes. Where what ends up happening is people put on like Discord invite contests to win ETH, or they win whitelist spots, or they win free mints. And then 98% of that Discord just disappears after the mint, and people just try, you know, ditching the project itself.
Absolutely.
Because there's nothing of substance left. You know, there's nothing else to kind of work for. They already got their whitelist; they're out the door. So you
it's
want to
not
find
too organic in that way either, because I think the organic growth is important.
Oh, organic growth is so critical. It's one thing that we stress at Ethereum Towers. Like, you'll never see us do an invite contest. We want people to invite their friends, you know, other NFT holders into the Discord, because they love the project, or they love being a part of the project. So yeah, look for ones that have organic growth, that have like a pretty active member base, you know, they're constantly going. I ran the numbers. Well, this was like 3 weeks ago, but I think in order to be in like the top 500 people in our Discord server, you had to have like 300 plus messages in it.
Wow.
It's
I think
crazy.
people can hit that pretty quick though.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
People are fairly active within our Discord. And I think the top person has like close to 5,000 messages, and it's not even me that has the most messages, which is the craziest part, because I'm in there as much as I am, but there's people that are not even like,
they devote their lives to it for sure. Like you know, I have a buddy, his name's Gray. He goes by Swanky, Swanky.eth, I guess. I kind of helped him, like, kind of push him back into the NFT space, because he visited it probably in January and said, nah, this is a joke, or whatever he was thinking at the time.
Yeah.
And right now, that's what they do from sun up to sundown. I feel like I told that guy, I told him today, I was like, dude, you've got to sleep. You got to drink some water. You know, you got to recuperate and stuff, because people get lost in it. You know, like you said, 5,000 messages. That's a lot. That is a ton of phone time or computer time, whatever it may be.
Most definitely. You quite literally almost like lose yourself in Discords, where you're sitting there, you're chatting, and then all of a sudden it is 12:30 or it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and you're like, okay, well, you know, I haven't had, you know, dinner yet, so I should probably do that quick.
And you know what? I think it's so powerful, because, you know, in a given conversation or a social setting, people can't last that long. You know, you go to a party, or you go to a, you know, little Friendsgiving, for example, or something. You can only be there for like 2 hours, and you're like, I'm done. I've had my fair share of my friends. It's time to go home.
Yeah.
Right. But on Discord, for some reason, that doesn't happen. It's because it's just it's the whole idea behind the profile pictures and kind of having that NFT as your profile picture. Nobody knows who you are, number one. Number two, nobody cares, I don't think. Number three, it's all just information, man. Information overload that I think people can actually digest. People love interacting online because you don't know who they are. You don't know who that person is. And it's genuine information coming from all angles.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I would say
addictive.
it can be very, very addictive because you will make new friends in all the Discords that you join.
Yeah.
You will become, these are people that you'll talk to as much, if not more, than your own friends.
Yeah, absolutely. And the energy is infectious right now.
Yes.
Right now, we are early, and I know it's been oversaid, but we're very early, and the excitement, the energy, it's there for people to get. The train's there. The hype train is there, and we're taking off. Next year comes, the train might be refueling or something. So get on quick if you can. I'm guessing.
Yeah, I would assume there's going to be a few extra, train cars behind sort of the train itself, but we'll be sitting at the front of that train.
That's right.
Helping things along.
And you know what? Now that we're talking about hype trains, I really am interested to know, kind of with Ethereum Towers, when it was free to mint, because I know you said you were just a part of the Discord at first, and then you joined in and everything happened very quickly, probably day one.
Yeah.
What is the pre-launch like? How many users and Discord users, and how does that compare to it today? Like, I know today it's absolutely insane, but from then to now, like, what was it like?
You should have seen the very first Discord that got released.
Just like
that was
dead.
The primary. Well, I wouldn't say it was dead. It was like 6 channels. It was like
just
no verification
plain
process. Yeah, no pictures, no nothing, no. It was very plain Jane, and obviously over time things have began to evolve within sort of the Ethereum Towers Discord. So like in case people are interested, like we kind of treat our Discord as almost like the central hub for everything. It almost feels like a community. So we actually have like a number of different channels that we call like amenities channels, that if let's say you're interested in gardening, there's a gardening channel. So you can go post like your pictures of maybe your flowers. We have like a gaming area where if you're a big gamer, you're going to go hang out in there. And then we have like the gym. We have, if you're into wine, there's like a pub and wine bar. If you're into finance and financial related chat, there's that. And then we have like dedicated areas for like, upcoming news in the NFT space. If we've received any sort of like hot tips on, maybe future projects or something along those lines, we have like a dedicated alpha channel. So I would say over the past probably 6 weeks, we've taken a very dedicated interest in, kind of building up that Discord to what it is today.
Yeah. You guys are connecting people through a million different ways.
Yeah.
All these interests and likes and common things. People are just connecting instantly in these things. And it's a really cool thing to see.
Well,
super
most
cool.
Definitely. And like, I wouldn't have met 3/4 of these people, without knowing or getting into Ethereum Towers. And I consider quite a few of them like very close friends now.
Yeah.
Purely because I talk to them every single day. I talk to Jason and Brandon quite literally every single day for over an hour. So there's a bunch of different things that we, discuss. And then probably like the last 20 minutes, we're just playing catch up, talking about life and, what are we doing? But yeah, the NFT space that kind of gives you access to a number of different people, and you do need to be heavily involved in Discord and Twitter to really excel in sort of the NFT world.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually going to ask you that next. So what do you think was kind of the breaking point for Ethereum Towers, or not the breaking, but the takeoff point? Like, what led you guys to where you're at now? Because I know that in recent weeks, the towers have been booming.
Yeah.
Like big time.
I'm going to say we really started to gain a lot of traction after there's probably like three different sort of like precipices that we kind of hit. So the very first one was when somebody bought one of our first floor luxury apartments that were on the secondary market for
Oh,
2
yeah.
ETH. For 2 ETH.
Wow.
And that was before a lot of these different things were kind of like published yet. This guy just loved the idea of it. We got along, and we actually go back and forth still on Discord.
Awesome.
Behind the scenes, but he's a really great guy. And that was kind of like the holy cow moment. I would say a different explicitive, but
yeah. Feel free to use whatever you need to.
Yeah, it was like that holy shit, like this is real deal. That real deal moment. The second one was after the glitches. So the crypto dads kind of came in and were unbelievable, and then the glitches came in, and that was like a project that I'd actually been following from essentially the get-go. And when we were able to secure them for the collab, after that, quite literally, we had, I would say, we've had 70 plus collabs reach out to us over the past 6 weeks, wanting, you know, different spots within Ethereum Towers. So we don't have enough spots for all 60 of them.
There's only one tower at the moment, correct?
Yeah, well, right now we're on floor like 60, give or take. We've filled up approximately 60% of Tower 1.
So it's flying by.
We're slowly but surely getting to it. And then the final sort of like big milestone that we reached was when we hit the 100 ETH traded on a free to mint project.
Incredible.
And that's when I thought to myself, like, this can easily become sort of that next major metaverse, because we don't have any of those things yet. We didn't even have the architectural drawings yet. Now that we have all of those things.
So was that the helix? Was that the kind of helix spiral? Is that what the architect did for you?
So that's their initial concept drawings. And then they're right now making sort of the 3D CGI rendering. And like once people see sort of like what they have planned for like the outside of the building and all the environmental work, and then once the gaming studio comes along, and then the other big piece that we're actually probably contracting out to another gaming studio is actually the occupancy map, where people will be able to like go to our website and they'll be able to go, I want to see floor 50 apartment 3, and they'll be able to click on it, and it'll actually take them and, you know, show them which wallet this belongs to, so maybe they can see who their neighbor is. Yeah,
absolutely. So I wonder, so will I be able, or if there will ever be a point to where I can go to my room in the tower and maybe put up some of my NFTs, like my collections, kind of like the other spaces, or like Decentraland and all that, crypto voxels, you know, you can put up whatever you want in your space.
Yeah.
Right. Is that something that you think could happen in the future?
Yes, absolutely. Like some of the conversations that I've had with some of these gaming studios, like
probably
blew my mind. Like blew my mind. What is currently available? Yeah. Now we still need to work within sort of the constraints of technology. So it's not like we can just kind of like say everything is possible.
Yeah.
But some of the things that they mentioned to me was like, that exists already.
So let's take one of those, one that you may not be using. What was something really cool that they told you?
So like, cross-chain availability exists. So
so like Solana, Ethereum kind of.
Yeah, as long as it's connected to like the same potential wallet, you can technically display it. That could even be like Vive collections. Like
so all the Disney stuff that's coming in. Was it Disney that launched on Vive?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Wow.
Or VV. I don't know how it's pronounced.
However it's pronounced.
I was talking to like the gaming developer, and he's like, well, that's not even the tough part. Like that's not the difficult part. It is getting these different NFTs to actually show up and look correct in your environment.
I see.
Because um, different poly counts and all that sort of fun stuff, make things a lot more difficult. Can it be achieved? Yes. But is it going to look perfect? Like that's kind of where things start to get a little bit tricky.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that I really noticed, especially in my time of moving around as a white character on crypto voxels,
Yeah.
is the actual NFT or the art itself was so crisp. I mean, at least I thought so looking at it, you know. Then everything else looks like what is it? Minecraft. Everything else looks like blocks and stuff, you know. But the NFT looks great. And I think that's a perfect example of what it should be. It's like forget everything else, forget the character that I'm walking around as, but I want to see the art, right? Because it's kind of like how this whole thing started evolving was this artist, you know, these artists are coming out during COVID and kind of making art and selling it that way. Can't go to museums, can't do art shows, you know, and I think it's incredible. All of this stemmed from potentially that.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different points in there that I actually want to hit on too. So like our metaverse, based on our initial discussions with sort of the developer itself, is not going to look like Minecraft. It's not going to look like that. In fact, the way that he talked about it was like almost insulting that we even like thought that was like what they were going to potentially end up doing.
Wow.
So I'm pretty excited to see sort of their initial concept and their environment drawings. These people have like helped down, and they've done like concept art and artwork for like Mercedes, Nike, Volvo, like a whole bunch of different people. So I'm pretty pumped.
We're talking about the big leagues here.
Yeah, like true big leagues, big league stuff. But the other point that you brought up there was sort of the artwork and like artists. I don't think people understand what the NFT space has done to artists or given people the ability to connect with artists all over the world. You know, beforehand, it may have been Etsy, it may have been that, but like, I don't know if anybody knows this, but like, if you ever like post a picture up on like, I don't know, Etsy or even like Amazon, I feel like it almost immediately gets yanked or like taken and then immediately like put onto like t-shirts and stuff like that through, you know, some of the different websites, and it's almost like stolen directly from underneath your nose.
Oh, absolutely.
So with the NFT space, you legitimately can show your proof of ownership. Like, I own this, like you need to take this down. So yeah. So
it's almost getting into legalities and stuff for those artists. So that way, if it is ever right click saved and put on a t-shirt, they can say, hey, like we didn't give you the rights to that, you know, but if you own one of those NFTs, then maybe you do. Right. And that's the beauty in it is you could own.
You can transfer IP properties. And in fact, like if you look at something like Boss Beauties is a perfect example, you know, if your NFT shows up on, let's say, a t-shirt or anything along those lines, you'll receive proceeds from that t-shirt sales. Or, you know, they just actually signed that big thing with Marvel. So who knows? Like, I think
by the way, that partnership is huge. Marvel? Are you kidding me?
I know. I owned a couple of Boss Beauties that immediately got sniped. So yeah.
Wow. And there's actually one artist that I've been following pretty heavily. She actually gives you all the kind of privileges and rights to it. The bull market girlfriends.
Oh yes,
Chris K.
Yeah, Chris K and Martin. We're in tight with them.
Oh really? Yeah. So beautiful art, and I think that you are in tight because I'm actually the guy that won the raffle for the collab.
Yeah,
that's me.
Lucky.
Yeah. So that collab is beautiful, and you know, right now I'm looking at getting in on those raffles and stuff that she does kind of every day. And if you get one of those, incredible. And you get all the copyrights or whatever it may be. I'm definitely going to be putting up some posters and things like that very soon to have in my little office studio space here. But I know you're in tight with them.
Well, Market Girlfriend. So one of the other partners is one of like the PR consultants for Bull Market Girlfriends.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, Brandon. He owns Gold Digger #5, which I think has like I think Gold Digger has like a 90th floor on it right now, or 70th floor. I mean, Bull Market Girlfriends just in general have like an extremely high floor to it. So
Yeah, the floor is incredible.
yeah,
I mean, I think it's more than any one-of-one artist out there that's just doing art.
just doing art. Like, have you
I mean,
heard
there's
of ghosts? Ghosts?
the ghosts. You mean like the
Yeah.
actual ghosts from like Mario and stuff like that?
No, no, no. There's
Okay.
the collection called Ghosts, and my end goal is to own one ghost one day, but it has like a 36th floor, I
Oh
think,
my
to it right now.
goodness.
For one
How
of
do you
his
do
like,
that, by the way? How do you
I
afford a 36 ETH floor? You know,
I
it's
but
incredible.
his artwork could be put up on any like museum and it would stand out because like his
Wow.
like the texture to it and all that sort of stuff is just like next level stuff that I don't know. Like I said,
And
I'm a huge like appreciative art person.
of course,
So if there's like a really nice piece and it's I don't know, one
I
ETH,
think the
I
world
have no
is
problem.
opening their eyes to the fact that artists and their art are worth a lot more than we give them credit for.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's huge right now is the fact that a lot of these artists, like you said, could be put up in any museum, could be at an art show and sell for loads of money. We just see it differently because it's a digital type of, it's digital right now,
Yeah.
and that's okay. I think the world's kind of opening up to the fact that digital art is art too.
But
It's
when
extremely tough to do.
yeah, look at what Human One sold for.
Oh wow,
What was that? 2 weeks ago, 29 million or 28 million
that's
at
right.
Christie's. Like that's digital art, and it's
Yeah,
unbelievably cool. Um, so yeah, no, digital art's definitely going to be here to stay. We're actually, I guess I could probably give you a little bit of alpha, but we're actually working with another
alpha me, please.
alpha. So there's currently a project out there called Ethereal Collective.
I'm writing this one down.
So what they're doing is they're going to be putting on like major NFT galleries in Dubai, London, and New York, and in the hopes of making NFTs become extremely mainstream. So like they've already
Wow.
got bull market girlfriends to sign up. They have like sevens. They have
Oh,
Gansey.
you
They
know what?
have
Yes, I heard of this.
yes. So I think that they're going to eventually catch on quite quickly here, because the artists that are currently in there are unbelievable. You've already mentioned one of them, which is Bull Market Girlfriends and like Chris K and Martin.
Yeah,
Um,
that's alpha for you guys too, by the way.
yeah.
Alpha just means really good. What is alpha? Okay, you know what? That's a
El-
good question.
Alpha just means like behind the scenes information. Like
Yeah.
it's stuff that hasn't been released yet to the public. This, I guess, Ethereal Collective, I quite literally, this has not been revealed to anyone because I think that we're going to announce them probably sometime next weekend. So you guys got a
Okay.
little inside scoop anyways. But they have like really cool things planned, and they're working with all sorts of
Wait, so you're
potential
saying you're
artists.
partnering with these guys? Is
Yeah,
that
so
what's happening?
essentially, yeah, we have specific ideas for this and like how we will be potentially featured in their like NFT galleries.
You heard it here, folks.
Yeah, like our idea is like,
It's okay. I'm not releasing this until this, like I said, Monday or Tuesday, perhaps.
okay,
So,
uh,
it'll give you some time. So maybe already unveil that.
no,
Maybe, maybe
I
not.
probably will. I probably should actually let our marketing people know, but
Let them
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Trust me, I'm in marketing, man. This is what I do. So
yeah.
I get it totally, completely. There's
Like
timing to these things.
our idea is to have like potentially the 3D image of our our metaverse being displayed in there, and then like potentially like an inside peek at like what the lobby looks like, maybe what a penthouse looks like,
Oh,
being
yeah.
displayed at the art galleries. And I mean, these art galleries will be different for everyone. You'll have legitimate artists, and then you'll have like very cool abstract paintings or abstract NFTs, and then you'll have people like us, and then you'll have like anime style, which is like the sevens,
Mhm.
potentially being displayed. So It'll kind of open your eyes to a little bit of everything when it comes to the NFT space. And I think that they're like a really cool concept where they're trying to bring this to sort of the general public.
Oh yeah.
NFTs aren't, just potential JPEGs. They're a little bit of everything, and you'll see metaverse stuff in there, and you'll see.
I think people are missing the appreciation for what can be, right? They just look at what it is and what they see as a JPEG or, just an image. And they question you when you tell them, hey, I bought a dinosaur for $800. And they're like, you kidding me right now? I'm like, no, I'm not kidding. And you just wait, because as soon as they unleash this, and then they get lost, right? So that's why I was like, I got to start educating folks on this. I got to have some kind of informational spill, something to show them and say, you know what, just follow me on this platform. I got plenty of info there. So that's why I'm doing this. So.
Yeah, try when I first explained to my wife when I bought a Dead Fellas, and if anybody looks up Dead Fellas, she's like, how much did you pay for that? I was like, I'm not going to tell you. We're not going to have this discussion today.
Have you told her yet?
I did.
Okay.
So I paid just shy of 1 ETH, which is like $4,000 for a Dead Fellows, which is this like cartoony zombie looking character that has like a mullet and like a weird cosmic shirt on. So yeah, trying to explain to her like how cool the art was, and then they have like a bunch of things planned for the future, and explaining sort of the reasons why I really like them. And she's like, whatever, you do your thing, I'll do my thing. So
I think it kind of got to that point with me and my fiance as well. It's kind of like she looks at me a little crazy, but it's okay at the end of the day, because I think she trusts and understands as much as I do. So, once they're able to understand, I think it becomes more of a clear picture. And now she's asking me, how do I get in on this? Yeah. It's interesting to see that, that shift, right?
You want to hear the craziest thing? So the oldest person in our Discord is 75 years old.
Incredible.
75 years old. And she bought an apartment last week. I think it was last week. But I think our NFT or our metaverse kind of attracts a little bit of an older group. Like I'd probably say the average age in our Discord is probably like 35.
Wow.
Everybody has a couple kids, and it's because it is real estate. It's not a fancy, profile picture that you can like show off. Hey, like look at me, I'm a,
I'm an
sort
ape.
of like difference between it's sort of like
that no offense to the apes
owning
out
a fancy.
The apes are awesome, I mean, come on, what they've done is like a social cultural revolution almost on this space. It's a total culture thing. It's kind of like, I explain this to people, it's like shoes, it's culture. Hats, it's culture. You may not see value in it, but a lot of people do. So that's exactly what it is. And it's defining it's defining the community and the social aspects of NFTs. I think that's what it's doing, if I'm being honest with you.
Absolutely. It's definitely no different than going out there buying a Gucci handbag or something like that. I can go pick up
status quo,
like a grocery bag, and guess what? It carries my stuff for me. But it's not a Gucci bag, so you know, walking down the street, it's not going to have that.
It's not as flashy.
Yeah, most definitely. I probably wouldn't actually care, if I'm being honest with you. At this point, I wear sweatpants every single day.
And that's a good life, man. I'm so incredibly grateful for you being here, on this Zoom call, on this podcast, because a lot of people are going to see a lot of different things. And I think it gives them a lot to digest. I definitely appreciate it, man. I hope by the end of this, we are definitely friends. I think in real life and in the NFT space at this point, because I think we're neighbors. So
who knows what's going to happen? And maybe we'll throw like an IRL event once Tower 2 mints and everybody can get together and meet each other. I think that would be phenomenal.
I think that's something anyone can do. And I think it's super cool, to see people doing events like that. Or, if you can't get to the event, at least, tap in somehow,
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you were to give advice, a little last bit of advice to anybody getting into the space, what is that number one piece of advice besides the whole
don't
seed
share
phrase
your
thing.
don't.
Besides that, nothing.
I cannot stress that enough for new people. Please, never in a million years share your seed phrase. Nobody is ever going to ask for it. And never, ever, ever. So please don't ever share your seed phrase. And that's like a list of like 24 words that they provide you for your wallet. That's the way. If you ever lose your normal password, that's how you get back in. The number one piece of advice: don't do your own research, and please never invest more than you're willing to lose.
Amen to that.
By do your own research, I quite literally mean, like, if you're on the fence about something, don't invest, because obviously you're not ready to invest yet. Never, ever, 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 ever put in more than you're willing to lose, because nobody has any idea it's still pretty much the wild, wild west out there. Obviously, for us here at Ethereum Towers,
Yes, it is.
We are busting our ass to ensure that our project doesn't fail. But who knows what happens to, crypto? Who knows what happens to the NFT space? Who knows what happens with metaverses? At the end of the day, we can't control that sort of stuff. But no one understands. Like, we are 15 hours a day, every single day, weekends even longer, because now you have more time to dedicate to Ethereum Towers. We're trying to get a real amazing metaverse for people. So
absolutely, and I think all the residents would be super happy to hear that. Like, hey, these guys are busting their asses, trying to put something together for everyone. And I think it's a great project. I think it's gonna be exploding here pretty soon. I mean, honestly, whenever you release the 3D model, or that little model picture infographic, I think people blew up. They were so excited to see that. That's a community-driven vision.
Yeah, I think the next big blow up will be once people know the studio that we've potentially signed with, and like all the different people that they've worked with. So I'm hoping that I'm hoping to get signatures on paper as early as like Monday or Tuesday of this upcoming week. So maybe it'll be right before your drop. I don't know.
Wow. Maybe. So do you think that you will have announced this by then?
I'm not going to guarantee it.
No guarantees. Okay.
No guarantees.
Well, you heard it here first. We're going to drop it soon enough to be announced whenever. But that's huge. That is huge, and I can't wait to see it.
If you are actually potentially interested, we are going to be hosting an AMA the 29th. November the 29th, where we're going to be speaking on a number of different things. I encourage people to listen to it before you even consider investing as well. We already have one. It's posted on YouTube, so just search out Ethereum Towers AMA and go from there.
Perfect. Yeah, I was going to say, go ahead and chill, man. Chill it out. Please do. This is your episode. Ethereum Towers. I mean,
Ethereum Towers. That's all that you need to know.
So list off those the collaborations that you have so far.
I don't know if we have enough time. I'll see if I can remember them all. Actually, I'm going to bring it up on my second screen here. So we have where is it?
I think I can name a few off the top of my head, but I cannot name them.
You ready?
Go for it. List.
Crypto Dads, The Glitches, Royal Ceramic Club, Box Beauties, Pluto Alliance, Dapper Dinos, Broadcasters, Anatomical Hearts, NFT Llama Pass, The Doge Pound, The Sevens, Skull Punks, Loopy Donuts, Ninja Hideouts, Lost Soul Sanctuaries, Women and Weapons, Mushrooms, The Drops, The Pangeans, The Gans Machine, Basement Dwellers, and then we'll announce. Well, I've already announced Ethereum Collective, Tim. I should have saved that one. But we have 4 more over the next 10 days. 4 more that I'll announce over the next 10 days as well.
Awesome.
And then that brings us into beginning of December, at which point we'll finish up sort of the collabs, probably mid-December-ish. So
wow. And then Tower 2, no more collabs.
No, well, there'll be some collabs,
But not
it won't
full.
it won't be nearly the same level. So for
Awesome.
our project itself, like you can still get like access, get onto our access list or whitelist, by just like hopping in the community, just being extremely genuine,
Yeah.
nice, just being like almost like a normal member of society,
Be
say
yourself.
hello to people,
Yeah.
stuff like that. That's how we're attracting all of these different people. Is just listen. A lot of people think that you need to grind it out and invite people. That's not how you make friends at Ethereum Towers. Just be normal. Just like hop in there, ask people how their day was. You had anything major going on this weekend? Chat about your day. That's the best way to kind of like acclimate yourself to our environment. So
Absolutely. Cool. Well, Shane or dadcipher.eth. Is
yeah,
that what it is?
yeah,
Because
that's
I
like
always
it's
say
fine.
dad, and then I add an I in there for some reason. And I'm,
Yeah,
I'm just so confused why I always do that.
yeah,
But
no,
anyways, I appreciate you being here. It's been awesome. I really have had a lot of fun, and it's a lot of information. I know it is a lot to digest for everyone out there. It's a ton, but that's why I'm hosting the NF Talk Tuesdays, is because if you have any questions about this specific podcast or anything else in general, that's a place where it's a safe space where you can come and ask these questions and be given answers from anyone and everyone, because I think everyone has their own opinion on which wallet's best on, all kinds of things. And that's why he said, do your own research. You have to put in a lot of homework to understand these things. And so it's crucial that you're always researching, always in Discords, asking around. You'll figure out who's nice and who's not. You really
mm-hmm.
will. I think you'll figure out who the rug pulls are, because they won't be chatting. They won't answer your questions, or they'll just tell you you're an idiot straight off and then blow you off, whatever. It's happened. I've been there
Yeah,
in those shoes. So
we all have yeah, you'll quickly realize who the what we call NFT shillers are, and like those are
yeah,
the projects like you got to be a little more careful on.
yeah.
So stuff like that. Like, there's a lot to the NFT space. That do your own research. That's the best way. It's your money that you're investing here. Remember that.
Exactly.
So don't go crazy without knowing what's going on.
Don't
But
spend your rent money. Don't do that.
yes, yes, absolutely.
Hey man, awesome. If you want to give one more shout out to anyone out there, your residents, whatever it is, please do so now. I
Yeah.
appreciate it, man.
Shout out to all 6,627 people in our Discord right now. That's where majority of them know me, met me, and yeah, just know I love you.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you being here.
Of course.
I guess that's it for the